Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today we are going to do Sura Yasin verses 22 to 27. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وما لي لا أعبد الذي فطرني وإليه ترجعون أأتخذ من دونه آلهة إن يردني الرحمن بضر لا تغن عني شفاعتهم شيئا ولا ينقذون إني إذا لفي ضلال مبين. And why should not I worship him who brought me into being, and unto him all shall be returned? Shall I take other gods besides him, if the beneficent Allah desires affliction for me? Their intercession shall not avail me aught, neither can they deliver me. Verily, in that case I shall be in manifest error. Being attentive towards both origin and resurrection is the cause of servitude. The verse says, and why should not I worship him who brought me into being, and unto whom you shall all be returned? Those who do not serve Allah are condemned in the court of their conscience. In the second verse, it refers to its third reasoning, due to idols, and it completes the affirmation of the servitude of Allah by negating the servitude from idols. It says, shall I take other gods besides him, if the beneficent Allah desires affliction for me? Their intercession shall not avail me aught, neither can they deliver me. Again, here it speaks of himself, in order not to have the form of commandment and order, and that others may reckon their own account. In fact, he has taken the main pretext of the idol worshippers, who said they worshipped idols for the sake of that they the idols intercede in the court of Allah. The Holy Quran implies that what kind of intercession may this be? They themselves are in need, the idols themselves are in need of your help. What can they do for you when you are in afflictions? The application of the Quranic term Ar-Rahman, the beneficent Allah, here, besides pointing to the vastness of the mercy of Allah, and that all merits and bounties return towards him, which itself is a proof upon the unity of worship, indicates to this point that the beneficent Allah does not desire any harm for anyone, unless the man's wrong actions reaches to its utmost degree. This causes man to be far from the vast scopes of Allah's mercy and inflicts him in the realm of his wrath. Then, in order to emphasize on it and explain it more, this believing champion said, verily, in that case I shall be in manifest error. What error can be more manifest than this, that a wise man kneels before these fatuous idols and puts them in comparison with the Creator of the earth and heaven? Verses 25 to 27. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إني آمنت بربكم فاسمعون قيل ادخل الجنة قال يا ليت قومي يعلمون بما غفر لي ربي وجعلني من المكرمين. Verily, I have believed in your Lord, therefore hear me. Finally he became martyr. It was said unto him, enter paradise. He said, oh, would that my people had known that my Lord has forgiven me and made me of the honored ones. The best way of invitation is practical invitation. To become martyr in the path of supporting the divine leader and enjoining the right has a very long background in the history of man. This verse indicates that this believing champion, the struggler, after expressing these argumentations and effective propaganda in the presence of a crowd with a loud voice, said, "Verily I have believed in your Lord, and therefore hear me, and do know that I am faithful to the invitation of these messengers. Then utilize my statement too, because it is in your benefit." The question is, who is the addressee of this sentence? And also the sentence which says, "Verily I have believed in your Lord." The apparent of the previous verses shows that the addressees are the same polytheists and idolaters who are in that land. This meaning has been used in many verses of the Quran concerning pagans and at the time of stating the monotheistic arguments. And also the Quranic sentence, "Fasma'un," there hear me, does not contrast with what was said, because he has mentioned this sentence to invite them to follow his own statement. It is similar to what has been mentioned in the story of the believer of Ali Firaun, where addressing the pharaohs, he says, "O my people, follow me. I guide you to the path of guidance." This makes it clear the fact that some of the commentators have said the addressees in this sentence are the same messengers who had come from the side of Allah for the invitation of this group. And they have taken the word Rabbikum and the sentence "therefore hear me" as a frame of reference for it, for which there is no kind of evidence available. But what did this obstinate group do in respect to this pure believer? The Quran says nothing about it, but it is understood from the tone of the later verses that they rebelled against him and killed him. Yes, the enthusiastic and exciting words of this man, which were accompanied with some strong arguments and some interesting points, not only did not affect positively on those black hearts and on those minds full of deceit and pride, but also it lit such a fire that of enmity and a grudge in their hearts that they sprang with the utmost callousness and cruelty and attacked this brave man to kill him. According to a narration, they stoned him, and his body was so harshly thrown by the stones that he fell down and died, while he was constantly saying, "Oh, would that my people had known." According to another narration, they trampled him under their feet so violently that his soul flew to the heaven. But the Quran has stated this fact in an interesting and secret sentence. Finally, he became a martyr. It was said unto him, "Enter paradise." This is the meaning which has been used in the other verse of the Quran about martyrs in the path of Allah. And do not think of those who are killed in the way of Allah to be dead. Nay, they are alive, being provided sustenance with their Lord. And this is to be found in Surah Al-Imran, Surah number 3, verse 169. It is interesting that this meaning shows that as soon as the martyrdom of this faithful man happened, he entered paradise. The length of the time between these two events was so short that the Quran, in its smooth meaning, instead of mentioning the martyrdom, had mentioned his arrival into paradise, and how nigh is the way to paradise and eternal happiness to martyrs. It is clear that the purpose of paradise here is the purgatory paradise, because it is understood from both the verses of the Quran and Islamic narrations that such a paradise will be of the believers. And in the same manner there will be purgatory hell for the wrongdoers too. Thus there will be another kind of paradise and hell in the purgatory world, which are the samples of paradise and hell in resurrection. There is a tradition about the grave narrated by Amirul Mu'minin Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, who said the grave is either a garden from the gardens of paradise, or it is a cavity out of the cavities of hell. However, the pure soul of this man went to the heavens and hastened towards the nearness of the divine mercy in the bliss of paradise, whose only wish was that which the verse continues to say. He said, "Oh, would that my people had known that my Lord has forgiven me and made me of the honored ones." He wished that they had an eye which was not covered with the thick, heavenly, worldly, material curtains, and they could see whatever is behind this curtain. That is, they might see the plenty of bounties, generosity, and honor from Allah, and that they might know that instead of their scorns, what great favor Allah had done to him. He wishes they could see and believe, but alas, a tradition indicates that the Prophet ﷺ said, "Verily, this faithful man not only in his life wanted good for his people, but also after his death wished for their guidance." It is noteworthy that at first he emphasizes on the forgiveness of Allah, then upon his generosity, because at first the man's soul should be purified from the pollution of sins with spiritual water of forgiveness, and then it becomes purified. He might approach the rank of nearness and generosity of Allah. However, this was the end of this man, the true faithful champion, who did not have any shortcoming in fulfilling his duty and supporting the divine prophets, and at last he became martyr and succeeded and to be admitted to the nearness of Allah's mercy. Now, what is the end of that disobedient, cruel nation? The Quran does not say anything about the end of those 3 prophets who were sent to the nation, but a group of commentators have written that besides killing the faithful men, the nation killed their own prophets too. Sadaqallahu al-Aliyyul Azim wa sadaqa Rasulullah al-Karim wa nahnu ala dhalika min ash-shahidin wa shakirin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Thank you for listening. Assalamu alaikum.